All right, good morning. It is episode 34 of the Schulte cast, kind of the combo locked on. We did get Mike Desormeaux for locked on yesterday, so you may want to check that out. Good conversation with Mike. Really can go another, you get 15, 20 minutes. That's a lot. I probably could have done a little bit with Samari Collier. So I probably dropped the ball on that because he looked really good in spring ball. But we got a good conversation there with Mike. Really good story about Chandler Fields, right? Certainly, I'm not judging Chandler for getting engaged. Congratulations on that. There wasn't supposed to be any judgment on that. But Mike sort of stumbled into it, teasing him about when he's getting married, and then, I'm getting engaged. So congratulations to Chandler and Victoria on their engagement. I think it was last weekend, but we got a little bit in that. The super genius of the move was fixed. Got another issue. The mechanic across the street from where I live just fixed it, $30. So it ends up costing me $60 anyways to put in the new air filter. But that's not bad. And I don't understand how this happened. I'm going to guess when I open my sunroof, there's like a glass panel, not the sunroof glass panel, but what's in front of the sunroof glass panel, literally when you're looking at top, and that's cracked pretty badly. Like, I don't want to take it into the car wash pretty badly. So we're going to have to save up for that move. That seems like a lot. That's not a super genius move. Apparently it's happened before, but all right. All right. So we have a ton to talk about today. We do have Orange Theory. It didn't go to Orange Theory yesterday. Something ran a little bit long, and I took a day off. I deserve it. I don't think I'm eating that poorly, although I did have a Freddy's, that little Oreo cookie ice cream yesterday. We'll be all set. All right. So first, Cajun softball playing this morning at 10. That's outstanding. We get to do something first thing in the morning after Orange Theory. So that'll be a lot of fun. JMU with 5 runs in the first ends up beating Southern Miss 6-2. Marshall in extra innings ends up winning. Let me make sure that's the case. If I got this. Marshall beats Georgia Southern 4-2. So Marshall moves on to play Texas State. So it'll be interesting to see, and we know softball is different than baseball. And the Cajuns are in, whether they're hosting or not, they're in. Texas State is in. I guess they have an outside shot of hosting, but, they'd have to win the tournament. And I think South Alabama is in, but obviously they want to win. And you have these two great pitchers on the bottom half of the bracket with Mullins for Texas State and Olivia Lackey for South Alabama. And here's the difference, right? Because it is only single elimination. You don't have to worry. You don't have to hold anything back. All right. But don't we want them as fresh as possible, A, for the championship and to face each other? So it'll be interesting to see what they do today. I presume Texas State and South Alabama will both be pitching their aces today. If their bats come out and do well, we'll see how long those girls go. That'll be interesting. Cajuns can go either way. The Cajuns have good pitching to get through this, right? I mean, Sam and Chloe have been going, they're only pitching 3 games. So they have been doing that all season long. They'll figure it out. Maybe Locker can come in and get a few batters if necessary. The problem for the Cajuns is going to be, if they're hosting, do they win those first 2 ball games? Because they don't have enough pitching to do what happened last year at Baton Rouge. They don't have enough pitching to lose to LSU in game 2, beat the other loser in game 2, if you will, and then that's a third game, and then beat the other team twice. Beat the regional host in this case, whatever. Beat LSU twice. They don't have enough pitching to go 5 games. They have enough pitching to go 3 and maybe 4. Not even sure of that, because, well, you'd have, I guess, do you get an off day in there? I guess you get an off day in there. In a regional, maybe not, right? Because it's Friday, Saturday. No, you're going to play 2 games in one day, right? So We'll see how that goes. So the Cajuns are playing JMU at 10. You don't want to lose that game. Don't lose that game. All right. If you want to host, the door is open a little bit. Sidney Pazan and Taylor Pleasance, of course. I didn't realize Taylor was struggling at the plate as much as she had. Only like her 5th RBI in like the last month or so. Because the times that we've seen her, maybe she just dominates in the field so much. But she comes up with a big base hit in the 14th inning. Would have been a bases clearing double. At worst a sac fly, but it got over the center fielder's head. So LSU beats Alabama 3-2 in 14. Now, Alabama's not going to fall very much when they lose to LSU in the RPI, but you don't have to fall very much. They fell one spot. And so if that's a team that, the Cajuns are competing against to host, they lose to LSU, Cajuns can't lose to JMU is the point. All right, so don't lose this ball game. If you end up losing to Troy or Coastal, that's one thing. In the semifinals, or Texas State or South Alabama in the championship, that's another. Don't lose the first game out. All right. You want to host, go out on the road, beat a team, right? And Jerry Glasgow may be right. They may be closer to, 12 or 13 if they win the championship. And God, if it is an LSU Cajun Super Regional to go to Oklahoma City, that is going to be, again, that's going to be outstanding. That's going to have Team Cajuns LSU Super Regional, right? That was Bregman's last year, right? And he was the one who sent LSU he was the one who sent LSU to Omaha, right? It was base hit's a base hit, but it was like a 10 hopper right over the second base pack. Nonetheless, it was a great series, right? Brent Conrad comes up and hits a home run to tie things up. Was it Pepersky that won it for LSU in the bottom half? It was only 2 games, but it was awesome. It was so much fun. All right. I know there's this rivalry-ish between the teams. It just felt like there was a lot of Louisiana love. For a guy who's not from here, that was a lot. That was a ton of fun. Probably rooting for the Cajuns only because, was here covering the Cajuns. But, they are the underdogs, right? All the time. But it was a lot of fun. And the LSU is for the most part, is such a smart baseball crowd, right? And so when they see a Kentucky or, Southern Miss came in there a couple years ago and gave them a run for their money, or a Coastal Carolina, right? They know when they're seeing good baseball, and they know when, they have their hands full, right? And they know when they don't. They know when they are, when the other team's overmatched. I heard somebody saying if Kentucky doesn't play LSU in the box, they probably go to Omaha last year. Could very well be. So, anyways, the Cajuns and LSU would be a great super regional if it happens. All right. Beth Torina or Jerry doesn't like the regional because then it prevents you from having a chance. Someone's going to get knocked out before the super. You get to the super, now you got a chance to go to Oklahoma City. So we shall see. All right. The other big news yesterday was Paul Skenes making his major league debut this Saturday. So there is a huge difference between, Paul Skenes, who is dominating, and Dylan Cruz, who is struggling. Thought Skenes was going to be held back because the contract situation. I thought it was June 1st or something like that, but apparently that's gone by the wayside, whatever the case may be. He is in 7 games. He hasn't pitched a lot. So in 7 games, he's only pitched 27 and a third innings, all starts. So that's like 4 innings per outing. He hasn't gone very much. He has a .99 ERA. He has struck out 45 in 27 and a third inning. This is ridiculous. He has given up 4 runs, 3 earned. He's given up 1 home run. He's walked 8, struck out 45. Opponents hitting 175 against him. He's given up 17 hits in 27 1/3 innings. I mean, I think he's going to dominate. We'll see. I think he's going to go up to the big leagues and dominate. Apparently, the Pirates have a pretty good rotation. So, goodness. So good on Paul Skenes. We'll be looking for that. I mean, a lot going on. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch Cubs. You would think somebody would pick that game up nationally, MLB Network, I guess. But you'll have Sunbelt Softball, Cajuns and Georgia Southern, and Cubs and the Pirates. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if he's come out of nowhere, right? He was so dominating. He's going to Air Force a couple of years ago. He was in the Air Force. And now he comes to LSU, leads them to a national championship, pitches way too much to get them to the title game. And in less than a year is making his major league debut, right? I don't have a problem with the Pirates handling him with kid gloves because it does, just based on recent history, it does look like he's going to throw his arm out just because he throws too hard. So, I mean, I know him and Strasburg, different body type. Mark Pryor was built pretty well, and he threw his arm out. We'll see how this goes. All right, so we're wishing Paul Skenes all the best. It is episode number 34 for the Schultze cast. All right, so we're already getting, and we talked about Brian Kelly a little bit yesterday, already getting some bitching and moaning about what the players are doing. So for the first time, ever, players have a little leverage. All right. And so I don't have a problem, again, with Brian Kelly saying, look, we want guys to come here for the right reasons, not only for the money. Was it Dominic Williams who went to Oklahoma and another player went to Miami? As if, they're not going to go pro because they went to Oklahoma or Miami. Okay. And so I understand what Brian Kelly is saying. We can't give someone who hasn't been here the most money, although that's the way it tends to work professionally, right? Steinbrenner kind of got away from that when they were winning. I can't pay you top dollar because I got to pay all the rest of my Yankees top dollars, right? And so, like Jeff Nelson was a great example of that. Jeff, go out and get money, right? He ended up coming back, but he was a big part of that, first that dynasty. But he went out and got paid, and that's great, but he didn't win. That's a little different, obviously, with the winning part of it. We'll see what Oklahoma is coming in the SEC. But apparently, Dominic Williams would have been the highest paid player on LSU. And Brian Kelly's using his two juniors, Will Campbell and Emory Jones, as examples of, well, these guys just came in here and didn't get any money. And they've been playing right and left tackle since they've been here. And we got to take care of them. I can't pay each of them $1 million and Dominic Williams $1 million. Okay. So there's a point to that. I understand what he's saying. At the same time, if you take the quote or whatever Brian Kelly is saying, take Brian Kelly's name out of it and put Scott Woodward's name in it and go back a couple of years and say, we're interested in Brian Kelly, right? We've made an offer. We think it's a fair offer. We're not going to go out and overpay for coaches. All right. History has shown us, and not to take a shot at Notre Dame, but anytime you take a shot at Notre Dame is fine. History has shown us, and recent history has shown us, that it's easier to win a national championship at LSU. We've won 3, played for 4, and Notre Dame hasn't won one since '88. Maybe been in the playoff a couple of times, but not really competitive in those games. So if Brian wants to join us and get some more money than he's making at Notre Dame compared to LSU, we'd welcome him here, and he'll be properly compensated should we win a national championship. I did not realize the discrepancy in his salary. He's making less than $3.5 million at Notre Dame and making $9.5 million at LSU. Whew. So take what Brian Kelly said about the players and then change that to Scott Woodward saying that about Brian Kelly. Would Brian Kelly come to LSU if he got a raise from 3.5 to 4 or even 5? Because now you have a chance to win a national championship, or at least an easier one. But we're not going to overpay you because we think anybody can come down here and win a national championship. And including 2 coaches that aren't currently coaching. In fact, all 3 coaches are not currently coaching that have won national championships at LSU. One, because he didn't want to coach, and 2, because, well, they can't find jobs or couldn't find jobs. But we don't hear that. Now we got Hugh Freeze talking about, Peyton Thorne and going out and paying $1 million. And I saw some people commenting, may have been Andy Staples, the cliche, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. We weren't quite getting the quarterback that we wanted to, so we weren't going to overpay for the ones that were not all that better. And, looking at my guy, Zach Blackerby on Lockdown Auburn, he says this is the best offense that Auburn's had in almost a decade. If Hugh Freeze doesn't compete for an SEC title this year, that's going to be a problem. Or at least, are we still Western divisions? Do we still have divisions in the SEC? I can't keep up. So if it's still an SEC West, I don't think we are. I don't think we are doing that. But think about this if it was. LSU is replacing the Heisman winning quarterback and 2 wide receivers that were both taken in the first round. So you're replacing that. Alabama is replacing their legendary head coach. The A&M is replacing their head coach. Arkansas is replacing their quarterback. The toughest competition on what would be the West is Ole Miss. All right, that's fine, but you start falling behind Alabama, you start falling behind LSU, you start falling behind A&M, good luck. No one wants to hear, because we saw Peyton Thorne play last year. He's got some potential, but he's not nearly as consistent as he should be. Don't give me that 6-6, 7-5 crap this year. This is where Hugh Freeze needed to be ready. The first year, okay, we got to get in, clean up the previous coach's mess. But, in year 2, I don't want to hear about it. No one wants to hear about it. Don't be doing that. Hugh Freeze wants to be on the hot seat, which I presume Hugh Freeze always is because he's Hugh Freeze. But you go 500 again this year, all right, because now you're giving Alabama a year under Kalen DeBoer, all right? Now you may see Lafayette's Walker Howard at Ole Miss, all right? You're going to get Manning at Texas, all right? So, don't, and then who's your quarterback? Then you're breaking in a new kid, right? You're breaking in a recruit. So, who's maybe been there for a little bit, but just, don't mess that up. And now you got Boise State's head coach. Now we've got to see this one here. Let's see here, because he went off 2 different ways. He called out Boise State Spencer Danielson. He did 2 things yesterday. All right. He called out coaches. He told basically his freshmen they're not getting paid. So good luck with that. All right. You're not supposed to be able to do that anymore. And I don't know how much freshman players are getting paid at Boise State anyways, but you're supposed to be able to go get what you can get. All right. Whether it's through a collective or whomever, whatever, because it's a very shady gray line on, the colleges with an NIL and helping you get the money. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but we all know that it kind of happens. He says you're not going to do that. All right. So if you're expecting to get paid as a freshman, kind of like you have to earn your wage. Well, that's not really happening these days. Right. We went past that. Second thing is he was going to call out the coaches who were tampering with their players. Right. And again, in the episode with Mike Desormeaux, he's like, look, we go after players that are in the portal. He was having issues with his players coming up to him during spring ball and saying, I'm being contacted by so-and-so and so-and-so, where there is obviously tampering. They're not in the portal yet. And he's upset about that. Like he said, I'm not going to, I think there was a meeting out west, or I'm not going to that coaches convention because I'm going to lay into somebody. And so we had the good thing with Spencer Danielson, call out the coaches, call them out. Let's go. Call them out. Someone tweeted out the reason that Spencer Danielson is not calling out the coaches is because Boise State does it where they can, right? They're looking at guys lower level than Boise State, if you will, where they can fill the thing. So, kind of the trickle down effect. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it is tough. We've had, Mike Desormeaux on, did record Sean Clark. I'm not sure if he told me stuff on or off the record, but I think he mentioned in there that, yeah, we had people contacting our players, and it is tough to put up with. So we'll see. So somewhere along the way, a coach, this is what's going to happen. Okay. A Spencer Danielson, for example, will call out these coaches by name. The coaches will say, that's not right. They will deny it. Then we're going to get text messages and voicemails that say, here you go. So, and then they're going to say, well, I didn't have anything to do with that because that's somebody else. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So it is a mess. Tough to keep up with the Ross Dellingers of the world with everything that he's reporting on. The NCAA has to figure this out, and it has to be collectively agreed upon to stop getting sued. Now, there are some guide rails that you can institute, right? Like you do get the one free transfer, and if the coach leaves, you get another one. I don't think that's the worst of all deals, right? So that still helps with playing time. Still doesn't stop you from transferring, but now you got to think about it a little bit. Also, by the way, Desormeaux confirmed that they held spring practice intentionally late. I usually don't get 1 + 1 = 2. I'm not nearly that smart. But when I saw all the kids that didn't leave, right, for the Cajuns, they didn't hardly lose anybody. And certainly no one that was going to be playing in the 2 deep this year, outside of Gant and Zion Chris, but that was way beforehand. That had nothing to do with spring ball. He purposely did that. I don't think it's to screw the kids. It's to help the program, right? He's doing what's best for the program. And, it doesn't take the kids that long in spring ball to realize I'm not in the 2 deep, right? I'm 3rd or 4th string, whatever that may be, right? I mean, here's the thing with some of these guys. If you're in the 2 deep in your offensive line, Cajun's been talking about that all year, you're going to play, right? Quarterback is always going to be an issue. Running back, I mean, you're always going to, no one plays one running back anymore. Wide receiver, I mean, as long as you're, 2 or 3 deep, right? Wide receivers, you got to have 8 to 9 to 10, right? You're not playing 5 wide all the time. So, half a dozen are always going to be in the rotation, at least maybe 8 tight ends, right? Here's the difference. Corners are generally not rotated in. Maybe nickels are. Linebackers aren't necessarily rotated in, right? Defensive linemen are. You get a rotation there, at least with the Cajuns you do. And South Alabama you did. Those guys rotate in. So you find out pretty quickly. Sean Clark did say, if you want to transfer, they're going to transfer. So he holds his spring really early. He did comment on that. So, we got a question here. I did. Sidelines, Texas State. Did you see Texas State president tweet last night in regard to the playoff talk? Good stuff. Yeah. Texas State's president said for the first time in the history of college football, everyone's going to be able to get into the playoff. Yeah. That's a whole different story. We think, and that's great. All right. And there'll be hopefully a G5 school, that competes and has, a UCF, a Cincinnati kind of season. But I don't think these college football coaches have any idea what a 12 or 14 team or eventually 16 team playoff means for pressure. Some of these guys moving forward aren't going to get 3 years. You miss the playoff 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row as a Florida, good luck. Like, I'm not sure it's fair that Billy Napier, and obviously a Billy Napier homer, president of the Billy Napier fan club. I'm not sure it's fair if he doesn't do well this year, but that's 2 years in a row, right? You got to see some progress in year 3, because if he's not competing for a playoff next year, good luck. Brian Kelly's had 2 successful years at LSU. All right. Record's been about the same, but he wins the SEC West, beats Alabama, gets a Heisman Trophy winner. Defense hasn't been very good, but he's done well. He misses a 12 or 14 or 16 team playoff a couple years in a row, it's going to get warm. All right. And I guess Sonny Dykes perked up yesterday. TCU and La Tech or La Tech or Alabama are not playing the same sport, right? As if TCU is on a regular basis. That's the thing. It's not only the G5, right? You can go through. Is Illinois and Alabama playing the same game? Come on, right? And is Mississippi State playing the same game as Texas? Come on. It's just not, right? There are the haves and the have-nots. That's where they're trying to divvy up the money for everybody. And I don't have a problem. I don't want a G5 playoff, but if the top, I don't have a problem with this. I really don't. This would be different. If you took the top 20 teams, top 25 teams, whatever they are, you could relegate them on an annual basis, which is kind of crappy because you're not, building a program. You take those teams, the Alabamas, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Georgias, when Clemson was good, and he's not taking any guys out of the portal still. He doesn't believe in it. They play for a championship, and everyone else can play for a championship, right? I think South Alabama, who went in and destroyed Oklahoma State, is closer to Oklahoma State than they are Oklahoma. That's for sure, right? See what Oklahoma did to ULM Arkansas State last year. So, and South Alabama went in there and played like South Alabama should have all year and destroyed them. Texas State, G.J. Kinney's debut goes in to Waco and beats Baylor as if Baylor is on the same level as Alabama. Come on, right? And we always take the biggest and the baddest. Someone put out there, is someone going to be, do you want to lose to Georgia 48-7? It would probably be worse sometimes, but somewhere along the way, say we'll get to 16 teams, and somewhere along the way, the G5 won't be 16, it'll be 14th, and they'll take down a number 3 seed Power 5 team. That will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. They may not go all the way. And again, I'm not sure anybody's talking about G5 winning a championship. It's nice to compete, right? The president of Texas State didn't say winning a championship. He said trying to compete for a championship. Somewhere along the way, a G5 team is going to beat a Power 5 team in the playoff. That's going to happen. Count on it. Now, it may happen because some quarterback gets injured in the, conference championship game, but too bad. Your next 5-star guy's got to step up. Meanwhile, they're playing some quarterback that's been to 3 spots and is 25 years old, can rent a car, has a wife and a kid, making 6 figures at, for the Cajuns. All right. Or, I don't know. These group of 5 teams have moved up, right? Cincinnati and Houston are Power 5 teams now. But, you got a Power 5 team in there or a group of 5 team in there with experience, and it's going to happen. All right. Don't think it's going to happen on a regular basis. I'm not sure a 16 team will ever beat, an Alabama or Michigan or Ohio State, but you get one of those lesser teams in there who may not be quite as dominating, and you get an experienced club that has a really good defense and a pass rush or an explosive offense. It's tough. All right. Would have been, as much as we don't like Coastal around here, it would have been awfully interesting to see Coastal Carolina play, right? And so there's a big difference, getting back to the point, big difference when you miss the playoff when there's only 4 teams. Well, there's only 4 teams, Mr. AD. There's only 4 teams, Mr. President. That's really tough to get in. You start missing playoffs 12, 14, 16. These guys aren't going to be around for 3 years. You think there's pressure. They think there's pressure now. Good luck. Because if we're sitting here, I don't know, in the 16 team, I guess we're getting 12 team this year and 14 next year or something like that, whatever the case may be. If LSU doesn't find themselves in a playoff in the first go-round of the contract of Brian Kelly, because, there's going to be a problem. I mean, I'll tell you right now, if he misses the playoff this year, it's going to be a problem. If his defense gets torched again, Brian Kelly's going to be on the hot seat, right? If they're on the outside looking in, he's going to be on the hot seat. Do it again, we'll see what happens. All right, he's getting paid a pretty good sum of money, and it's not just 4 teams anymore. It's not just 4 teams. All right, we rambled on a little bit for that. Let's see what else we do have. Again, if you just joined us, we did fix the Super Genius Move of the Week. Cost me all of $30. So that was cool. Do have a glass problem. Thank goodness it's not the windshield, although that may be cheaper. Let's see what else we had here. That's about it. All right. So we talked to Cajun Softball playing JMU this morning at 10. LSU with a 14-inning marathon. Sydney Pazan with a big 208 pitches. That's amazing, right? I don't want to hear about Gage Jump. Luke Holman pitching 100 pitches. She did 208 pitches. Then they asked, what are you going to do for the rest of the day? How a nap wasn't involved, I do not know. I'm going to ice down my shoulder, grab something to eat, and take a long nap. They get Tennessee today. Obviously, it would be huge if somehow LSU beats Tennessee to secure a high seed. That would go a long way. We talked about all the coaches making excuses. Coach Desormeaux did have a transfer portal strategy. Paul Skenes making his major league debut, and the super genius move of the day. All right, we will have this episode up on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Also, did not sneak. I don't know if I sneak my way in. Did not get in to the Rouse's bourbon raffle. Oh, darn. But last time, and I don't know if I'm allowing, outing or anything, whatever it was. Last time, there was bourbon available for anybody and everybody. I ended up with an Old Forester 1924. Probably paid a little bit too much for that, but it was, MSRP, well, a little bit over MSRP. But that was open to anybody. So I have an Orange Theory class at 8:15. I'm going to go to the Rouse's at 7:30 and see if I can go buy a bottle. I guess it was limited. Instead of 50, it was limited to 30. I don't know if there's better bottles or not. We'll see. Can't get one of the baskets. Always like to see what people get. And I'll probably head over there afterwards to see what is left. There were bottles left last time, but stuff I didn't need or was too expensive or something like that. Also, remember, I'm going to Louisville next weekend. So, again, we can't go too crazy. I don't need, 18 more bottles. I could go get, I wanted the James E. Pepper one, but I already got that. So we'll see. Maybe go get the Peerless Double Oaked. Going to pay a pretty price for that. We'll see what we can get in the regular stores. I saw something in the Total Wine. So we are there for like 4 days. Again, it's tough to do it when your family's there and your family doesn't want to do it. Like my nephew doesn't want to go. He's got the day off. He's finished with school. He's graduating. We're going up graduating. I'm there for Monday. He doesn't want to go to Bardstown. And so it's kind of tough to say, hey, let's go take a tour. He's like, no. I don't blame him, but it's not nearly as fun as if you're doing it by yourself. So, also, I don't necessarily need to be driving around Bardstown taking samples of bourbon. So don't need to do that either. All right. Thanks very much for tuning in. As for what happened yesterday, I thought it went well. We'll see moving forward. Should have an answer and a decision by this week. If their decision doesn't come until tomorrow, then maybe we won't have an answer until the weekend, to the following week. So we'll see. It looks like it's heading in the right direction, but One never knows. One never knows. No, it is what it is. So again, an opportunity here, an opportunity somewhere else. We shall see. Again, check out Mike Desormeaux for Locked On Sunbelt. And also, I don't know if anybody saw the cap. I didn't know about this guy, the Cajun Glove Doctor. He's on Instagram and Facebook, but not on Twitter. So I put it out there on the Twitterverse, maybe a little late. Mike Desormeaux wore a cool UL hat, like that, like a UL hat. Pretty damn cool. Where's that? And he's like, the Cajun Glove Doctor made it. So hopefully I'm getting one for that. That's going to be awesome. Something else I don't need is another cap, but that's a cool cap. I liked that one a lot. That was neat. Mike said he made it for the staff, and then the players want something that they can't have, kind of like me. And so he made a couple hundred of them. So we'll see if that hat takes off. It's a cool cap. Again, have a great day, everybody. We'll be following. Actually, do have a Locked On Sunbelt interview right before the Cajuns play today, so that should be done. So I should be tuned in, and we'll live tweet that ball game. Remember, Cajuns going to Georgia Southern, so that'll be Friday. So I don't even know if those two things. Let me see quickly before I leave. We got to get going here. Let's see, Sunbelt. No, let me see when the Cajuns would play on Friday. No. Full download history. Basically, I'm looking for the Sunbelt, previewing Sunbelt tournament, Sunbelt thumbnail, championship bracket. Here we go. So they would play, see, on Friday, they're playing at 4. So that's going to be, I presume the Cajuns play at 5 because they're playing in Statesboro. So a 6 o'clock ball game Eastern time. So that's going to run over. And it's a 1 o'clock game on Saturday. So those probably are running up against each other. So we'll have a bunch of Cajuns stuff to talk about. That is all right. Good 36. Please like and review an Apple Podcast. Like, share, all that good stuff on YouTube. Still got to work on the YouTube stuff. That seems to stop growing, but this continues to grow. And I appreciate it. Also, again, it's a cute show, a little cliche. But there was an HBO show. There is an HBO show, Girls on the Bus, about covering the campaigns and how these 4 competitors, all female writers. You got the grizzled veteran, you have the young hip one, you have the new media one, and you have the African American on, like a Fox. So it's a little cliche. I'm looking forward to the last episode, but the reason I'm mentioning this, my brother is in the episode. My brother, Eric Schultz, making his TV debut. Should have added a line just because he wouldn't have had to act. He was asking a rhetorical question, and he just should have said, because he does this all the time. Really? That would have been, I don't know if he did that. He should have done it because that's what he would have said. Also, if he talked with his hands, he does that as well, but he had something in his hands. So my brother is on HBO today. Episode 10 towards the end. So congratulations to my brother, Eric, making his TV debut. It's not a long debut, but he is in there. All right. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back going to Orange Theory this morning, and then we got to come back and get Clay Hilton. And then we got Cajun softball. So we got a busy morning. Everyone, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again on Friday.